Hey Jackson Way, what's up? Glad you could be with us. Welcome again to Youth Live. We are so glad that you are here. We are going to get into our game here in a second, but we do want to remind you that this is going to be, we're going to keep going with Youth Live, but this Sunday we will be back in person here at Jackson Way. 2 services, 9 and 11. They're encouraging the younger people, which is you, to be there at 11 o'clock. So please try to make it if you can. We would love to see you. If you're sick or you don't feel safe coming, that's fine. Stay home. We understand, okay? All right, let's get into our game tonight. Hope you're ready. Here we go. So we're playing this game called Is It Really in the Bible? So what we mean by that is we're going to show a quote from somebody, and it may sound like it's in the Bible, but you need to let us know if yes, it's in the Bible, or no, it's not, okay? Some of these are going to be hard, I'm telling you. Get ready. Here we go. First one. God helps those who help themselves, okay? God helps those who help themselves. Is that in the Bible? Is that in the Bible? Yea or nay? You let us know. Bothers of Chaos asked what I'm wearing. I'm wearing some suspenders tonight. Yeah, decided to go a little detective look, you know. All right, Zach Messer says no. Everybody says no. All right. Hannah Kirkham says no. Mark Drennan says no. Bailey Broadfoot says no. Aiden Dearman says no. God helps those who help themselves. All right. What am I wearing? And no. Okay, again, I am wearing suspenders. I've answered that one time. Cooper Malaris says no. Emma Herring says no. All right. What do we think? Is that in the Bible? God helps those. It says God. Just saying. All right, 3, 2, and 1. No, it's not in the Bible because Benjamin Franklin, Big Ben, said that. All right. Good job. A lot of you got that right. All right. Cooked, this is the middle of a sentence, obviously. Cooked on a griddle. Use fine flour mixed with oil but without yeast. Crumble it and pour oil on it. Is that in the Bible or not? What do you think? Sounds like Martha Stewart might be, saying all this. I don't know. George Foreman? Who knows? But is it in the Bible? Dylan says yes. Hannah says yes. Matthew says yes. So I guess this is our biblical proof that we should cook, right? Yeah? If you don't have a griddle, you're sin. I'm just joking. Just kidding. Is that Nora? Nothing but Nora. Great name. Had to say it twice, just for effect. But she says yes. Brothers of Chaos says no. It's not Bothers of Chaos anymore. Okay, good. It's Brothers. That's different. All right. Cooked on a griddle. Use fine flour mixed with oil, but without yeast. Without yeast, not with yeast. Crumble it and pour oil on it. Okay. Kind of divided here. Mainly yes, but we got some no's. All right, 3, 2, and 1. That's Leviticus 2:5. All right. I know you've got the whole book of Leviticus memorized, so hopefully you knew that one already. All right. Cool. The next one is a liar will not be believed even when he speaks the truth. What do you think? Yay or nay? And Dylan says yay. Yes or no? Is that in the Bible? Or did somebody else say that? Cooper says yes. Zach says yes. By the way, Zach, is your picture you sleeping? Is that right? Are you sleeping in your picture? Wow. All right. Hannah says yes. Bailey says yes. Aiden says yes. Emma Herring says yes. But Mary says no. Got some differing of opinions here. A liar will not be believed even when he speaks the truth. And that is, we confirm, that is a picture of Zach sleeping. Nice. And he said, "'Twas a rough day." But he didn't end his quote, so I guess he's going to keep talking, so stay tuned. All right. 3, 2, and 1. Sorry, that is not in the Bible. That was written or said by Aesop. All right? Not ASAP Rocky, Aesop. Okay. The next one is, the doors to the rooftop room were locked. They said he's probably relieving himself in the restroom. Okay. Is that in the Bible or no? Was that statement said in the Bible or somewhere else? Yes, all caps, by Dylan. Dylan's excited about that one, strangely. Emma Herring says no. Mary says yes. Zach says yes. Brothers of Chaos says no. Caitlin says yes. We're going to read that one more time just so you can get a good idea here. The doors to the rooftop room were locked. They said he's probably relieving himself in the restroom. All right. Good for him. Carter Malera says no. Dylan put some Chinese food in a cat in a box that I guess is supposed to represent Chinese food. Okay. Thank you. All right, 3, 2, and 1. That is in the Bible. That is Judges 3:24. By the way, if you can't tell, this game was made a while back. You know, it looks kind of old and kind of, older. And if you just look at some of the pictures of these guys, represented by the biblical characters here, it's kind of funny. All right, the next one is, the donkey said, "Am I not your trusty donkey on whom you've ridden for years right up until now?" Is that in the Bible or not? Emma Herring started crying when Corey Topanga and Sean graduated in Boy Meets World. So did I. Oh my goodness. That was really sad. Great show, by the way. It's on Disney Plus, just saying, if anybody needs to watch it. Dylan Koger said, no, that's Shrek. There was a talking donkey on Shrek. That could be a hint. But the Malaris boys, well, one of them thinks it's no, one of them thinks it's yes. Bailey Broadfoot thinks no. Hannah thinks no. Nora thinks no. Okay. By the way, I get asked all the time if I know any girls named Topanga because my name's Corey, and I don't. So just want to throw that out there. If I ever meet a girl named Topanga, I've got to get a picture and document it. So if anybody knows anybody named Topanga, let me know. All right, 3, 2, and 1. That was in the Bible, Numbers 22:30. Yes, there was a talking donkey in the Bible, if you did not know that. All right, the next one is, he will bear thee away to the houses of lamentation beyond all. If I could speak in a British accent, I would totally read this in British because this just sounds like something to be British. Beyond all darkness, where thy flesh shall be devoured. What do you think? Is that in the Bible or not? You decide. Actually, you don't get to decide. What's in the Bible is in the Bible, what's not, it's not. You don't get to decide that. Pfft. Are you kidding me? Dylan says no. Zach says no. Cooper says yes. Matthew says yes. Joy Dearman, jumping in here, says no. Oh, it's Bryce. Okay. So Bryce says no. And Aiden says yes. All right. He will bear, let's read it one more time. He will bear thee away to the houses of lamentation beyond all darkness, where thy flesh shall be devoured. Is that in the Bible or not? What do you think? I mean, anything that says thee, does that not kind of give it away? Right? It don't say thee anywhere else, does it? All right, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, that was the good old The Witch King in The Return of the King. I guess that's Lord of the Rings, which I'm okay with. I like Lord of the Rings. The earth opened up its jaws and swallowed them along with Korah's gang, who died when the fire ate them. So that's real dark, you know, real wholesome there, right? What do you think? Is that in the Bible? Or is that not in the Bible? Yay or nay? Bible or no? Okay. Have several yeses, but Emma thinks it's no. Bryce said yesy. Lots of yeses, lots of yeses. We have a very excited yes from the Brothers of Chaos. So I'm just curious, is that more than one person playing on one account, or is that or is that just one person, one brother of the brothers? Bailey Broadfoot says yes. The earth opened up its jaw and swallowed them along with Korah's gang, who died when the fire ate them. Now, what if this had been on a church? Remember we played church signs again last week. What if this had been on a church sign? It's been very dark. Oh, it's two of them. Two brothers of chaos. All right, 3, 2, 1. Yes, that is in Numbers 26:10. All right. The next one is, it is the strength of your hearts that make you who you are, hearts that will remain unbroken when all rock and stone has eroded away. It's very encouraging, you know, very uplifting, very inspiring. One may say that sounds very biblical, but it's up to you. Well, you get to tell us what you think. Dylan says no. Oh, and the Brothers of Chaos are Jordan and Kyle. What's up, Jordan and Kyle? Everyone says no so far. Is anybody going to be different and say yes? Maybe? No? Bryce said 9. 9 what? Emily Dodson says no. Aiden Dearman says no, capitalized. Is that supposed to add to the effect? All right, everybody thinks this is not in the Bible. The Brothers of Chaos say no. All right. 3, 2, and 1. It is not. It's Katara, the Last Airbender. Has anybody seen that? I've never seen that. Has anybody ever seen that? Okay. A fool thinks himself wise, but a wise man knows himself to be a fool. Is that in the Bible or not? All right, Dylan says that The Last Airbender is his favorite live action. So I guess Dylan has seen that. I've never seen it, so couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you one thing about it. All right, is this in the Bible or not? Got a lot of people saying yes, but Matthew says no. Cooper and Emily say yes. The Brothers of Chaos have agreed. They have come together and decided that it is yes. Emma Herring says yes. All right, y'all keep throwing out all these little foreign symbols and languages and stuff, we're going to count it wrong. We speak English here. Maybe a little bit of Spanish, maybe a little bit of Portuguese, and maybe a little bit of French. We don't really speak in symbols though, Dylan. That's what you're doing right now, so somebody try to decipher that. There's shelter, there's water, and then there's sanitizer, so I guess stay inside, be clean, and drink water. That's what we'll go with. All right, anyway. 3, 2, and 1. Sorry, that was Mr. Shakespeare. So, several people got that one wrong. Sorry. All right, why, if a fox climbed that wall, it would fall to pieces under his weight? Is that in the Bible or no? Mary says yes. The Drennan brothers think yes, it's in the Bible. Zach thinks yes. Nora thinks yes. Aiden is so confident. He said yes, yes, and yes. All right. We got 2 different yeses from Brothers of Chaos. Okay. All right, 3, 2, and 1. Good job. It's in the Bible. Nehemiah 4:3. All right, and our last one for the night. Get ready. His touch brought with it the strangest sense of relief. That pain had suddenly ceased. Is that in the Bible or not? Zach says yes. But Caitlin says no. Dylan says no. Cooper says yes. Bailey Broadfoot said no. Bryce coming in here with some Spanish. I see you saying sí. ¿Cómo está? ¿Qué pasa? De nada. The Brothers of Chaos said yes, cha-ching. Nora said no. Mark said no. We're also missing the Spitzmillers tonight because Sarah had to go do a graduation thing. Because we know they'd be on here getting super competitive. They'd be talking trash to Dylan like they always do on here. All right. Dylan put a picture of 2 people touching elbows. Cool. All right, what do you think? Is that in the Bible or not? This is it, remember. All right, 3, 2, get it in if you have not, and 1. No, that is not in the Bible. That is from Bella from Eclipse. I think is that Twilight? Is that right? Yeah. Never read Twilight, never seen the movies. Okay. So yeah, that's from her. So good job. See, didn't that sound very similar? Thanks for playing once again. Had a great time, as always, playing our game. And just remember, just a reminder, that you are not playing for nothing. If you've kind of joined in late, you still could do some type of damage. And also remember, there's a grade prize. So if you're playing tonight for like the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 1st, whatever time, you're helping your grade out. So it matters. The prize for the individual, we are going to pay for your way on our summer retreat. We're still working on that, by the way. That will be at the end of summer. Hoping that everything kind of calms down by then. And we will also pay for a friend to go. Okay, so you can use this as an opportunity to reach out and bring somebody. So great prize. And then the group prize, we'll let you know what that is later. All right. At this time, we want to keep going with apologetics. Tonight, we're going to talk about does God really exist? And just want to warn you, this won't be end all be all, like every single answer. I think I say that in the video. But we feel like this might be a good way to kind of get you started on it. So grab a pen, grab a Bible, and let's dive into God's Word. What's up, Jackson Way? Thanks again for tuning in to yet another week of Youth Live. Again, don't know how much longer this is going to go, but this is where we're at for right now. And we are in apologetics, okay? And that just means to defend our faith. That means to kind of defend what we believe, and we're covering it in different areas. Last week we talked about doubts, and several of you responded, several of you texted me or sent me a message or something like that to let me know that was something good that you needed to hear. And I love hearing those types of things. That's always great. But we're going to keep on rolling through apologetics. So tonight we're talking about our question this week is, does God really exist? Okay? A lot of people ask this question. This is a really popular question. And kind of like last week, there are several different ways that people like to attack this subject. They like to come at it from different angles and different theories and all that. Obviously, there is no way I could answer all those tonight in like a short little time. So we're just going to look at a couple of them, a couple of reasons. But I want to encourage you to continue to grow, continue to do things on your own in that step to kind of learn through this. And so I hope that tonight this will kind of help you have some type of, kind of lay a foundation, give you a little base for a defense that you can build upon and add to as you continue to study. So, always important to look to Scripture. And so Colossians 1 and verse 15, start in that. And this is just a really good passage to kind of talk about Jesus and God and His existence. So Colossians 1:15 says, He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by Him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things were created through Him and for Him. And He is before all things, and in Him all things hold together. All right? So it talks about that He is invisible. It talks about that all things hold together because of God. And obviously, if you're a Christian, if you're a believer, then you believe that. You believe that God holds all things together. But there are people that do not believe this. There are people that don't believe God exists, or they believe that, a God exists, but maybe not like the one that we follow in Christianity, or, maybe the Big Bang Theory, that there was a Big Bang and then everything was just here all of a sudden, everything was just created. And so there's a lot of different beliefs on those types of things. And so tonight I want to give you some kind of, they're going to be called arguments for why God does exist, okay? Now, I got to warn you that tonight is going to be, there's going to be a lot of, it'll kind of be sciencey, okay? Like there will be some scientific things. I've got to do a lot of reading off of my iPad because I just could not, I couldn't take it all in and learn it all like by that time. So some of this I'm going to have to read, and I think when I read it you'll understand why. So a few arguments, okay, for why God exists. All right, so number one is this one called the cosmological argument. All right, so it's like cosmo and then put the word logical after it, cosmological. So this argument basically says that the universe, and again, this is to prove that God exists. The universe had a beginning, okay? How do we know the universe had a beginning? Because it's here, all right? Like it had to start from somewhere. Some people believe that the universe just started, like out of nowhere. And, that obviously anything that exists had a beginning, okay? So like I'm sitting in a building right now, somewhere, in an undisclosed location. Some of you may know where I'm at, but anyway, I'm sitting in a building somewhere, and I don't know who built this building. That person is probably, this building was built a long time ago, that person's probably not with us anymore, but I can't see that person. I've never met that person, but I know that there was a builder at some point. Why? Because it's built, because it exists, okay? A building has to have a builder, all right? And so creation the universe had a beginning. All right, something he says in the book. He said that it has been confirmed by scientists that the universe had a beginning, and he said, and also it's been confirmed that things exist in our world. All right, so for things to exist, they had to have a beginning. Okay, and whatever exists has a cause. All right, the universe began, so the universe has a cause. The universe is not just here, just bam, by chance. Okay, so that's one argument. All right, and like I said, that's not everything. That's not every detail of that, but that's just kind of like a basic knowledge of that. The other, another one is called the moral argument. Okay, so we have our morals. Like what's right and wrong. So if God doesn't exist, then morals wouldn't exist. Morals would not exist. Like, who's to say what's right and wrong if God doesn't exist? See, like as human beings, we've got morals that we just we know, like, that's not right. That's wrong. That's not how you treat people. That's not how you behave toward people. And this has always been around, okay? Like all the way through time. People knew what was right and what was wrong. When Hitler was reigning in Germany, there were people that, they knew that was not right, okay? Like, there was nothing there to tell them that wasn't right necessarily, but they just knew, like, this is not okay. But then you had some people that they felt like it wasn't right. Some of the Nazis, they felt like it wasn't right, but because everybody else was doing it, they were like, well, hey, if everybody else is doing it, then it must be okay. So does that mean that just because everybody else is doing it, does that mean it's okay? Absolutely not. So we have morals, like we have a standard, okay? If there are some people that say there are no morals, that there is no right and wrong, excuse me. But for somebody to say that there's no right and wrong, well, then that statement can't be right or wrong, right? So why should we believe them? If right or wrong doesn't exist, then how do we know they're right? Since that is not real, that doesn't exist. So see, like when morals are not there, when you say there's no morals, that opens up a lot of doors and a lot of confusion and a lot of things that should not be. And so another thing he raises in the book is he says, we know some things that are just immoral, like things that should not happen, okay? Racism, slavery, murder, stealing, lying. Like, we just know those things are just not right. And why do we know those things are not right? Well, because we were created with a moral standard, and that came from God because God has a moral standard. And so people will throw that out. People are going to say, that, so why does God get to determine what's right and wrong? Because we believe that God created everything. And because God created everything, He also created those morals. So we need to go by His moral standards. We need to go by what He says as far as morals go. So I'm going to share a few different verses with you. Again, I really don't like jumping around verse to verse. Like, I like, walking down through a passage so that you can get the context, so you know what's going on. I really hate just reading one verse from a passage, but just for time and just to help this out, that's what we're going to do here tonight. So this first one is Isaiah 45, and it's verse 19, and it says, God says, I did not speak in secret in a land. Is that the right verse? Yeah. I did not speak in secret in a land of darkness. I did not say to the offspring of Jacob, seek me in vain. I, the Lord, speak the truth, and I declare what is right. So God declares what's right morally. God declares what is okay and what is not okay. And so that's where we get our morals from. That's where we decide, that things are right or wrong. And for people to say that God doesn't exist, well, if you've got morals, then God has to exist because those morals have to come from somewhere. God ingrained those morals in us. And so even if we're not a Christian, like, we know, like, what, we kind of get a feeling of some things that are right and wrong. Like, that's not okay. We kind of feel it inside. And so that's where we get those from, is God. Romans 12 and verse 9, it says, let love be genuine, abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good. So he mentions evil and good. So he says abhor it, like, do away with it, stay away from it, oppose it. And he says let love be genuine. So we need to, be genuine and be good. So we need to cling to those things that are good and stay away from those things that are evil. And how do we know that those things are good or evil? We look to the Word of God, because God created morals. God created those types of things. Some people like to throw out this argument too, kind of in link with this. They'll say that there's no right or wrong, and then they may say there is no such thing as absolute truth. Like there is nothing that we can 100% absolutely say is true. And what that does is, the reason they say that is that attacks the Bible, because we believe that the Bible is 100% truth. And we believe that it is 100% accurate, which makes God 100% truth. So they say that to say that there's no absolute truth, like there's nothing that we can know for sure is truth, meaning that we can't for sure know that God exists or is real or any of that. But see, when they say that, when they say there is no such thing as absolute truth, that's an absolute statement. Like, so you're saying that we can't believe in truth. Well, then we can't believe you, because you just said that there's no such thing as absolute truth. So then who's to say you're right? Okay? Who's to say that what you're saying is true? And so with the moral argument, again, we got to look at the right and the wrong. And again, that can vary. Like, from different cultures, like some things are okay to do where other cultures think they're not. But when we look to God and we look to the Bible, we know what's true and what's right. We know what's right and what's wrong. And again, the idea of a right and a wrong, that comes from God, 100%. Okay, so the third one, this one is pretty crazy. This one's called the fine-tuning argument, okay? This one is to argue the idea that some people think that the earth just by chance, on its own, with no help, just evolved, and still is evolving on its own with nobody, no higher being kind of making it that way, kind of working it into existence. And the fine-tuning argument argues that there are several evidences that point to a designer, to somebody designed this earth the way it is. It's not just the way it is just by chance, just because, it boom and here it is. It's because somebody designed it that way. Somebody made it that way. Somebody placed this there and placed those things over there and placed us here, and all of that is by design. And then he goes on to list two things that can prove that there's a designer, that can help to prove that the world's not just happening by chance, that somebody's actually here, that a designer actually exists and put us here and put all these things here. So let me read those to you. And again, this is going to get a little sciencey, so I'm going to try not to confuse you here. But there's the gravitational force constant. All right, gravitational force constant. I'm sure you read about this all the time, right? It's the idea that force holds people to the earth. Okay, so it's like gravity, things like that. What's that thing called with the solar system? That all that's held together. And so it's the idea that something's holding all that together and making it, and sustaining it and making it still, function and still work. And so he says in the book that there's a number kind of like, representing that balance. And he says if it was too weak, then the attractive force, the gravitational pull and all that, it wouldn't hold us together. If it was too strong, everything would burn up. If it was altered in just one part, just one tiny little instance, then life would not exist. Okay, so you mean to tell me that just happened by chance? Okay, you mean to tell me that the earth just happened to be here, but if it was just a little bit off, then we would not exist. Or if it was a little bit stronger, we still wouldn't exist. I don't think so. The second argument is the we've already said this word, but the cosmological constant, okay? And what that is that is about the expansion speed of the universe. So it's the balance of gravity and space. okay? And again, I don't want to lose you. You can look some of this stuff up later. I don't want to get too deep in it because some of it I'm not sure I could explain great, but also don't want to lose you. So the cosmological constant, again, it's represented by a number, and the number, okay, I got to make sure I read this right. The cosmological constant must be about 1 in 10 to the 120th power. Okay, that's a big number. That's really, really big. If it is a little bit more positive than that number, like if it's a little bit higher than that number, everything flies apart. If it's a little bit negative below that number, everything collapses. So it is exactly right where it needs to be. Now, do you think that that just happened? The Earth just knew, hey, that is the number that it needs to be? Or would it make more sense that somebody designed it that way and they balanced it out themselves and they made sure that everything was exactly how it needed to be? See, it takes a lot more faith to believe that there wasn't a designer and that it just all happened by chance than it does to believe that there's a designer, that somebody, a God, a higher being that placed all that there perfectly where it needed to be. It takes way more faith to believe that God did not do all that himself. So you've got that, and then just throwing this little instant in here, kind of let you know a little bit more complicated about this. So the number 1 in 10 to the 100th power is this number called Google, okay? Not Google that you search. It's Googol, all right? He says, if you counted by twos, all right, check this out. If you counted by twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and kept going, it would take you 5 days, 18 hours, 53 minutes, and 20 seconds to count to 1 million by twos, all right? That's a long time. He says, again, by counting by twos, it would take you 15 years, 300 days, 6 hours, 53 minutes, and 20 seconds to count to 1 billion by twos. All right? To count to Google, it would take you, I'm probably not going to say this right, 1.58 times 10 to the 92nd power years to count to Google. All right? That's a lot. Just going to say that's a big number. All right? That's a ton. And so, this shows like how big our universe is and how expanding it is, and just all these different things that we can't even comprehend. And so there's so much outside of what we can understand. Like, it's not possible for us to understand all this stuff. But what is possible for us to understand is that a designer did all of that. A designer put the cosmos and space and gravity and all these balances and morals and all that stuff in to us and into the world and into creation. I'll say it again. It would take more faith for you to believe that there was not a designer that did all this than to believe that there is. Yeah, I said that right. Because it is very obvious that there's a creator for creation, all right? And again, there's a lot of different ways you could try to attack this. Some of you, you may be sitting out there and you may be saying, well, I'm still not convinced. Maybe you're watching this, you saw our little post on Instagram and you wanted to check it out, and you're going to try to come like battle me or try to, debate me or something after this. I don't know. But I want you to know that there's a lot of evidence that God exists out there, ton of it, okay? Like, there's so much that goes on with our bodies, like biologically and, or I guess, anatomically. And, just with space and time and nature and all this, like, it would make so much more sense for there to be a designer that orchestrates all this and sustains all this rather than it just happened. Like, that doesn't, things don't just happen by themselves like that, okay? So, again, you may be sitting out there tonight and you're thinking, I still don't buy it. Still not getting it, okay? Like, we didn't even talk about where the Bible came from. I know some people debate that the Bible's not real. That's another conversation for another day. Or how did God get here? Why is, if everything had to have a creator, how did he get here? Maybe you're saying, science just completely says no way. By the way, next week is do God and science agree or disagree or something like that is our question for next week. So sneak peek. But I want to leave you with this, and this is not going to really, be the final answer on all of it. Like I said, we could talk about this for days and days, and there's a million different, avenues to go down when you talk about the existence of God. But I want to tell you this story, and then we'll close. So I worked at this camp back in 2011. I was 21 years old, and it was 2012. I was 21. I had not turned 22 yet. And I had just become a youth pastor. I'd been a youth pastor for like 2 months. And I was working at this camp because I'd already signed up for it. I'd been to this camp several times. I knew like a lot of people. There's about 1,000 students that go to this camp. And so one of our things we had to do was we had to counsel after the message. So I'm talking to this guy. I prayed with him, just talked him through some things. Well, then they come over and they grab me and they say, hey, Corey, we want you, there's this guy over here that doesn't believe in God, and we think you need to talk to him. And, I'm just thinking, well, thanks, guys. Thanks for handling that for me and, not just coming and getting me, and thanks for having my back. Anyway, so I go over there, I sit down. It's this big guy. Big guy. I think he went and played college football somewhere. But he was big, he looked real mean, he was looking straight down at the floor, he would not look at me. And I sat down, I said, hey man, what's up? And he said, I don't believe in God. Just real kind of gruff and mean, And anyway, we went back and forth, long story short. So I was hitting him with all these different things about creation and all of this. So then he just would not budge, and he just kept looking at the ground, straight at the ground, would not look at me. So finally I just said, okay man, well, this is not really going to prove that God exists, but I just want you to think about something. Let's say that let's say that I'm wrong at the end of this life. Let's say that I get to the end of my life and God does not exist, and all of it was fake, and I believed it all, and I followed it. I didn't really, there's nothing really for me to lose. Like, I just spent my whole life dedicated to something that didn't exist. And I said, but listen, if you're wrong when we get to the end of this life, and God does exist, that's something you can't pay. You can't afford that. Like, that is something that you absolutely cannot chance and cannot risk. So then I just shared the gospel with him after that, and I'm not saying this to make myself look great or anything. He started crying. His big self sitting here looking down at the ground on me, and he just started crying. And we prayed together. His name was Kobe, and I talked to him all the rest of the week at camp, and it was great. But that's what I want to ask you is, at the end of this life, what do you think happens? Because if you don't think there's a God, then what do you think goes next? Because, if you're right, then we didn't really, Christians, we're not really losing anything. But if you're wrong, that's a whole new ball game, okay? And I'm not trying to scare you, but I just want you to really think about that and to kind of think on that, okay? Let's pray. Father, thank you for this day. God, thank you for all that you give us. And Lord, I pray that if there's somebody out there, God, that doesn't believe in you, I know tonight, God, we didn't cover every single base and every single topic and all of that, but God, I pray that you will just work in the lives of anybody that does not believe in you. And Father, I pray you'll reveal yourself to them. God, I pray that they will think about, God, all the different evidences that are out there. And Father, help us as a youth group, God, as a student ministry to reach those, God, that don't believe in you. And I pray that tonight kind of help people have a more solid, stable ground to stand on when they talk to people that don't believe in you. Thank you for all you do, and I ask this in your name. Amen. All right. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in again. We hope that this is helping you out. Again, there's a lot of different angles and a lot of different ways that we could cover with a lot of these topics, but we're just trying to give you like a base to kind of work from. So if you have other questions after this about what we talked about tonight, or maybe even last week, we hope that you will just let me know. You can send me a DM on social media. You can hit me up some other way, but just let me know. We want to have these conversations. Don't be embarrassed about it, but let's just try to have conversations that can be helpful. So we want to remind you about this Sunday to come join us to be here at 11 o'clock for that service. Don't come to the 9 o'clock one. That's, we're trying to keep the, older ones and the ones that are more susceptible and things like that in the first service. So try to join us for the second service. We also hope that you are subscribed to this channel. We're going to keep going with this for a little while. And I've had several people text me, some of you that are watching right now, and say, when are we going back to normal? When is youth going to be able to meet again? And we're trying to work on something, trust me, okay? I promise you we are trying to work on something, and I will let you know. Remember to follow us on Instagram if you don't already, and we'll keep you updated. We do have scores tonight, so stay tuned and check out those after after we get done here, after we wrap up, okay? If you need me, send me a message, send me a text, send me a DM, okay? See y'all next week.